Tonight, before you sleep, before the world goes quiet and your thoughts finally catch up to you, let me ask you something gently. How is it possible that we live in the most advanced era humanity has ever known, and yet so many people feel exhausted to their bones? We have faster technology, smarter systems, endless information, and more financial tools than any generation before us. We can move money across the planet in seconds. We can track every calorie, every step, every heartbeat. We can predict markets, model behavior, and automate entire industries. And yet, anxiety is everywhere. Loneliness is epidemic. Wealth has increased, but peace has disappeared. People are earning more than their parents ever dreamed of, yet lying awake at night with a tight chest and a racing mind. People are surrounded by noise, notifications, and constant stimulation, yet feel deeply unseen. People chase success with relentless discipline, only to reach it and quietly ask themselves, is this really it? There is a strange contradiction at the center of modern life. The more we accumulate, the less secure we feel. The more we control, the more fragile everything seems. It is as if something fundamental has been forgotten. As if we mastered the surface of life but lost its core. And what if the truth was never lost at all? What if it has been quietly waiting, in plain sight, for over 14 centuries? What if the formula we have been desperately searching for was never meant to be invented, only remembered? We are living through a silent human crisis. Not a crisis of intelligence. Not a crisis of resources. But a crisis of alignment. People are burning out not because they are weak, but because they are misaligned. They are running on systems that were never designed to nourish the human soul. They wake up already tired. They push through days fueled by caffeine and obligation. They tell themselves they will rest later, be happy later, feel fulfilled later. Later becomes a moving target. Even wealth, the thing so many believe will finally make them feel safe, has become a source of fear. Fear of losing it. Fear of not having enough. Fear of falling behind. Fear of being exposed. Money was meant to be a tool. But for many, it has become a quiet master. You can feel it in the way people speak about it. The tension. The desperation. The constant calculation. The subtle panic beneath the surface. And deep down, many people carry a heavy, unspoken question. Why does it never feel like enough? This is not greed. This is not moral failure. This is what happens when human beings are separated from the laws that govern their inner design. The Qur'an does not shout these laws. It does not advertise them. It does not package them as motivation or productivity hacks. It reveals them quietly. Almost as if it knows that the people who need them most will be listening in the stillness of the night. The Qur'an quietly reveals a principle that runs completely counter to modern instinct. A principle so simple that it is easy to dismiss. A principle so ancient that it feels irrelevant, until it suddenly isn't. The example of those who spend their wealth in the way of Allah is like a seed that grows 7 ears. In every ear, 100 seeds. And Allah multiplies for whom He wills. Surah Al-Baqarah, verse 261. Notice how the verse begins. Not with accumulation. Not with strategy. Not with protection. It begins with release. A seed. Not a warehouse. Not a fortune. Not abundance. A seed. The Quran does not describe wealth as something to be hoarded. It describes it as something alive. Something that responds to how it is treated. A seed only fulfills its purpose when it is placed into the ground and let go of. If you clutch it tightly in your hand, trying to preserve it, it never becomes more than what it already is. The Quran is not romantic here. It is precise. It is architectural. It is describing a system. Give, and growth is triggered. Withhold, and stagnation sets in. The Prophet once said that charity does not decrease wealth. Not as poetry. Not as symbolism. But as reality. This statement sounds irrational to a mind trained exclusively in linear mathematics. But human life does not operate on spreadsheets alone. It operates on feedback loops. On biology. On psychology. On perception. on trust. When a person gives sincerely, something profound happens inside them. Their nervous system receives a signal. A message is sent deep into the body. I am safe enough to give. That message changes everything. There was a man who spent his entire adult life accumulating. Not because he loved money, but because he feared scarcity. He grew up watching his parents argue about bills. He learned early that money meant survival. So he built walls around it. Accounts, safeguards, backup plans. From the outside, he looked successful. From the inside, he lived in constant vigilance. Every market fluctuation felt like a threat. Every unexpected expense triggered panic. His body never rested, even when his bank balance grew. One day, not out of spiritual ambition, but out of exhaustion, he began giving a small amount consistently. Quietly. No announcement. No recognition. What changed first was not his income. It was his breathing. His chest loosened. His thoughts slowed. His decisions became clearer. He noticed opportunities he had been too anxious to see before. His relationships softened. His work improved. He had not become richer overnight. He had become regulated. The Qur'an did not promise instant wealth. It promised multiplication. Multiplication does not always arrive as numbers. Sometimes it arrives as clarity. Sometimes as resilience. Sometimes as doors that only open for those who are no longer desperate. Another story. A woman who carried the weight of resentment toward God. She prayed. She worked. She tried to do everything right. And still, life felt tight. Constricted. Always just short of relief. When she began to give, not to earn, not to bargain, but simply to participate in something beyond herself, something shifted. Her relationship with provision changed. She no longer saw herself as abandoned. She felt included. That inclusion alone was transformative. Modern science is only now beginning to understand what ancient revelation stated without hesitation. Generosity reduces stress hormones. It increases oxytocin. It activates regions of the brain associated with trust and long-term planning. People who give regularly show improved emotional regulation, better sleep, lower inflammation, increased life satisfaction. This is not coincidence. The human body was designed for flow. When you interrupt flow, anxiety appears. When you restore flow, calm follows. The Qur'an, the Sunnah, the nervous system, and human psychology are not separate domains. They are layers of the same design. Like an architectural blueprint expressed in different languages. The Qur'an speaks to the soul. The Prophet embodied it in behavior. Biology confirms it through structure. Psychology observes it through patterns. When they are aligned, life feels coherent. When they are not, even success feels hollow. The Qur'an does not ask you to impoverish yourself. It asks you to trust the system you were designed to live within. It asks you to plant a seed. Just one. Not dramatically. Not publicly. Not sacrificially. Consciously. And then to observe. Not your bank balance first, but your inner state. Your fear levels. Your sleep. Your decisions. Because when fear loosens its grip, wisdom returns. And when wisdom returns, provision follows paths that panic can never access. This is not about becoming wealthy for its own sake. It is about returning to Fitra, to alignment, to a life that flows instead of clenches. So consider this gently. For 7 days, choose one small act of giving, something that feels meaningful but not destabilizing, something quiet, something sincere, and then do nothing else. Do not expect. Do not calculate. Do not perform. Just notice. Notice how your body responds. Notice how your mind softens. Notice how life subtly rearranges itself when you stop gripping so tightly. And at the end of those 7 days, whether wealth increases or not, you may discover something more valuable. That you were never meant to carry the weight of provision alone. That the system has always been there, waiting. And as the night grows quiet, and the noise of the world fades, perhaps you can let that realization settle. You are not behind. You are not broken. You are simply disconnected. And reconnection is always closer than we think. Now rest. Let the seed do its work.